Well, we reported on the global economy earlier. The other big story dominating international headlines at the moment is the push for the United Nations to recognise Palestine as an independent state. The Palestinian leadership's bypassing the stalled Middle East peace process and instead appealing to the nations of the world to confer statehood on it. Israel's outraged by the move. As you'd expect, the global community's divided, and the Australian government's yet to figure out how it's going to vote. Here's the ABC's Middle East correspondent, Ben Knight.
It's going to go to the United Nations, and the question is whether Mahmoud Abbas will.
On the same day the UN Assembly was opening in New York, the bulldozers were rolling in the West Bank. This security wall, when it's finished, will almost completely enclose the Palestinian village of Al-Walajah near Bethlehem. Some of the land here was declared by Israel to be part of the city of Jerusalem. Then Jewish homes began appearing on it, and they've been going up ever since. This land, you say, used to be part of Al-Walajah village?
Yes.
Atta Al-Araj lives here with his family. He shows me where a new section of the wall is being built on what was Arab farmland.
But I can't go to the other side of this foundation.
This is the foundation of
Yes.
the wall, and you are not allowed to cross it.
I'm not allowed. I need a special permit to be in the other side.
Settlements are illegal under international law. Even the United States disapproves. And the Palestinians say there will be no peace talks until the building stops. The Palestinians' point is basically this, that for years they've been sitting on hills like this in the West Bank, looking over at the city of Jerusalem and watching it expand while their own homes have been under demolition order. And then over the years, the Jewish homes have got closer and closer until now, after 20 years of negotiations, here is the wall being built right on their doorstep. What, they say, is the point of negotiations if this is what they get. Right here is where any decision at the UN to upgrade Palestine's status could have a direct impact. Because if Palestine is recognised as a state, or even if it's just made an observer member, it would then have the power to refer Israel to the International Criminal Court for war crimes, including the charge of building settlements on occupied land. When the Palestinian Foreign Minister was asked if he'd promised not to do that, his response was more of a warning than a reassurance.
There will be no reason for us to go to the ICC if Israel does not take any action that's considered to be illegal.
The other immediate impact of a change in Palestine's status at the UN would be on Israel's national morale. The country is feeling ever more isolated and vilified in world opinion. Its relations with Egypt and Turkey have collapsed in recent months, and it doesn't have many friends left in the region. If some European countries were to come out and support the Palestinians, it would be even more worrying for the Jewish state. There is still a rump of the left in Israel that supports pulling out of the settlements. But the bulk of public opinion in Israel is this.
We've tried it, and it hasn't worked.
In 2005, Israel pulled every single Jewish settler out of the Gaza Strip.
We did exactly what the theory says. Get out, go back to the 1967 borders, dismantle the settlements. And I don't think people remember how far we went to achieve this. We uprooted thousands of people from their homes. But ladies and gentlemen, we didn't get peace. We got war.
Gaza is a problem, not just for Israel, but also for Mahmoud Abbas. It's controlled by Hamas, which is militant, Islamist, and backed by Iran. Hamas rules by the gun, under Islamic law, and militants inside Gaza still fire rockets and mortars at Israel. Hamas opposes going to the UN because it says a Palestinian nation must be taken, not begged for. But Hamas has lost a lot of support, especially since this statehood campaign began. And Gaza is not the West Bank. Hamas, for example, would never allow this. The Taibeh Brewery is like a time capsule, a direct product of Palestinian optimism after the Oslo Accords of 1993. Back then, David Khoury was so convinced Palestine was about to become its own state But he moved his family back from England and invested their life savings in his hometown of Taipei. That was 17 years ago. And David Khoury is one of the 80% of Palestinians who support the idea of going directly to the UN.
I believe it's a foot in the door. So the world now, the whole world are aware. The world is aware of our problem.
Even if it means defying the United States.
But we're not going to stop going. After all, I know Japan went to the UN with their application more than 7 times. And therefore, the Palestinians are willing to go not 7 times, 70 times to get recognized.
The Palestinian gamble at the UN has paid off so far. The Palestinian cause is the talk of the General Assembly. And the Palestinian people are largely united behind the idea. Major powers are talking about getting peace talks started again. But the other part of this gamble isn't going so well. The Palestinians have angered the United States. Europe's uncomfortable. And so far, no one is picking up on their basic demand, that Israel stop building settlements in order for peace talks to begin. The risks for the Palestinians are significant. Israel has threatened consequences, which could include cutting off all ties or withholding the tax money that it regularly transfers to the Palestinian government. The United States or Europe could cut back or cut off their funding. But perhaps most dangerous of all, Mahmoud Abbas has created very high hopes.
We never give up. And we are calling Mr. President Mahmoud Abbas, don't come back without a state.
And if that diplomatic approach fails, the fear is that public support will shift towards the militants, and Israel will be hit with a new intifada, or uprising, like the wave of suicide bombings that began 10 years ago. But David Khoury says that won't happen again.
Because we learned our lesson from the first and second intifada, and in the first intifada, the second intifada did not get us anywhere.
But so far, nor have any of the alternatives.
And Australia is expected to either vote against the Palestinian bid or abstain. If it abstains, Israel and its supporters will be very unhappy, and it will also put Australia at odds with its closest ally, the United States.